was another pretty simple day, just going through the motions. It's a little bit late because I ended up staying up more than planned. I have to say the work from yesterday and the last couple of days is kind of like I built up a little bit of a debt in terms of focus, and I think I spoke about that yesterday, so on last video. But it's just been a case of going through the motions, making the stuff happen, showing up, doing the work. I had some calls and I wanted to make some time. So one of the things that I've been reflecting on is the opportunity cost of a project that I took on, it was like this week-long sprint. And it was this client who also was a personal friend. And so I took on that work, but in taking it on short notice, like even though the project itself didn't have like real costs, it had a lot of opportunity costs in terms of the focus time that it took out of my team and myself in other projects, to other clients, to my own internal things that need to be done. Like for example, the Mint House site is like we're going through a design revamp, and that basically got thrown on pause. The attention that I was given, being able to give to other clients, it became like this hurricane of work that kind of like swept through my to-do list, and items were thrown all over the list and like down the calendar. And so I was reflecting a little bit on that today, because I think that's something that I suppose have to reflect on at some point in time is at what point does, sure, you can take on this project and they pay you a little bit more, but at what point, like, do you have to push up that price? Because if they don't pay you enough, like the opportunity cost that it's causing to your business is going to be a net negative. I suppose that is a reflection you have more and more as you grow the business, because your opportunity cost grows. If you have no business, you have no opportunity cost, right? The difference between you working on that project or not doing anything is like, well, your opportunity cost is none, and so you might as well build the thing. And that's why I started building, because it was like I have everything to gain and nothing to lose. That was the place that I came from, right? Like the angle that I came at it from. And that's a very good place. But as you build something, you're basically, if you build something that you can lose effectively. And so that has to kind of come into consideration when you then make decisions, because now you have something to gain and something to lose. That is where you have to start to evaluate and make decisions and walk that tightrope, I suppose. Yeah, but it's an interesting reflection that I think at some point you have to start to do. And like, it's good to get in data about different types of deals, because you can start to understand those decisions and make better decisions. So for example, like, XYZ type of project tends to be not very profitable, leads to high stress. I should probably not do a lot more of these, and I should probably focus on the other types. And generally that's when I think like in future, or at least like in a few months, I'd probably be in a position to say no more often to these types of projects, which I think is a net positive, despite the fact like in the short term it might feel like a net negative, because I'm missing out on a little bit of potential revenue, but I can compensate for that like with the extra growth that I'm going to get or whatever it is. So yeah, that was a reflection I had today. But while I wanted to record something that was a little bit more organized and kind of like pre-thought out, I didn't have time because my day was a complete hurricane. And even like this weekly review that I do, and I do this weekly review mostly like Sunday or Monday, and I do it pretty meticulously every week. This week, I did it today. Today's a Thursday. That goes to show just how much it has thrown everything off track. And I think that is a net negative that has a pretty high cost, but it's very hard to quantify. But you can just, I think most people can like intuitively feel it. So yeah, but I had some very good conversations, some really, really good conversations with like on a personal level with people that were, I think, helpful and important to me. And so that was really nice. Yeah, that was pretty much my day. But tomorrow I hope to have things organized a little bit better and kind of like get back on my feet, if you will, particularly in terms of organization. And just, I think one of the things that I've started to intuitively get a feeling for is when I am playing on the offensive and when I'm playing on the defensive. What I mean by that is like when I am playing in a reactionary kind of context. And so what that means is like I have this like endless list of to-dos and I'm falling behind on it. I am working reactively to things as they jump in my way. And I'm like kind of like fighting them and kind of trying to manage this like to-do list that is clearly overflowing. And that puts me on my back foot. That puts me on the defensive. And I think that is a very large cost. Whereas when I'm on the offensive, like I have things in hand. My to-do list might not get 100% done, but I know when it's going to get done. Like things, there's just a better sense of control. I think that's that's a kind of state that I want to preserve more. And I've observed a couple situations where I've noticed very clearly a shift from the offensive to defensive. And I think you should try and, well, at least it's a reflection that I have for myself, but I want to try and observe more patterns what triggers that shift from offensive to defensive, and how can I avoid that a little bit more. And I think this is a useful reflection for anybody to have. But the defensive is when you are not, I suppose like most people play on the defensive because it's easier. It's like the default setting, right? But it's just, you're kind of reacting to whatever happens to you and you're just going with the flow. But if you are somebody who learns to play in the offensive most of the time, which I think is very useful, what are the things that switch you into the defensive? Like spotting that pattern and observing that, and then like trying to avoid those things, I think is a pretty useful exercise. So that's something I will hope to be doing over the next little while. Yeah, in general, like I've really enjoyed spending more time reflecting on things. Like the weekly tracker has been something I have found immensely useful, even though I just repeat it. I think I made another video about it a little while ago, like how to make a 12-week plan or whatever. That was really good, at least for me. So yeah, that's been something I've been enjoying a lot. Just going back, checking the goals, checking the progress, writing stuff down. And even if it's repetitive, like repetition is good. Repetition is really powerful when it's used in the right context. So that's it. But yeah, I would say even though today was like, it was productive, but not the most productive. I was quite tired. I would say I didn't sleep enough last night, and because I had calls early in the morning and I slept late last night, and today I'm sleeping a little bit later than planned again. But that's not ideal. But I think it was okay. It was for good reason. Like I think I just had some very nice conversations today that I appreciate. I'm very, very happy with. So net positive in the grand scheme of things, which is the important part. Anyway, tomorrow I'm just gonna get back to it. I have some meetings next week. I'm excited to be back in London next week, Tuesday. Fly back and finally, like I miss the big city, but yeah, so I'll make the most of Lisbon while I'm still here. Maybe go to the beach or something on the weekend to try and just get out of my own head a little bit. I think that'll be nice.